Hello and Yajong. Welcome to Mongoose Live. I have not been live for a while now. Thọ chờ nên sẽ tôi sửa theo Mongoose Live. Giờ nên chỉ tôi đua chạy cũng bị bị mong lão mong bị lão mong chỉ hơn chỗ long sinh hơi long her from Fresno, California. I am a part of Team Mongoose, and every once in a while, I have the privilege to do a live session with various people in the Hmong and maybe possibly soon too non-Hmong community. But I've got a great person joining me tonight. I'll announce him in just a little bit, but it's super exciting. For those who don't know, MotoAmerica is the highest level of racing here in the United States. MotoAmerica, lúc còn học sinh cho chơi mô lúc lo thì mong hay lúc lo the motorcycles, and Moto America is the highest level of racing, and we now have one, but now we have two Hmong racers in the Moto America circuit. I've If you follow Mongoose Live, then you know that I have Aiden Tao here quite a bit. I'll have him a little bit this weekend also. But tonight I'm joined by none other than the second Moto America racer. His name is Steve Yang. I met him a couple months back, and he's a really great guy. If you see him on Facebook, you can just search under Steve Yang. You'll see his icon motorcycle, and he also races under Kato fast racing. But to give you guys an update, I've been AWOL, missing in action for a couple of weeks now. I've been actually in none other than Hawaii with my family. So my mom, my folks, so they don't travel very well, and so before they got too old and couldn't vacation much, my siblings and I, we decided to take a big family trip to Hawaii, and there was about maybe Molipe, Nengo, Yuromo, Nengo, Chilang, and we went to Hawaii, and we spent 2 weeks in Oahu, jumped between 4 different resorts, and had a wonderful little time. If you follow Facebook and you follow me on Longhair or Mongoose, and you kind of saw some of the pictures. There's a whole lot more pictures. We had a great time, and I learned many great things about Hawaii. And I'll probably end up making a video sharing with everyone about what I recommend for Hawaii and best practices and things you can do to have a really good trip. Some of these things learned the easy way. Some of these things learned the hard way. But take 1 second. Để thọ bát share họ link nó được share thia cũng mỗi thứ phong nhiêu nữa thì lao chữ tú kỳ som chi kyong. He says good morning, and the reason why the phong nhiêu nó thì good morning đó ta xin nó nhớ cho California mà yoli tí yêu lo mo xiao mong nhớ cho Minnesota cái tí yêu lo mo chua mong. This friend says good morning. That's because he's one of our viewers from probably Mlote là Taipei. So watch out the pong you có tôi cùng mono yon no tatso sing che olulo. So we have friends from everywhere. If you're here, please be friendly. Welcome to Mongoose Live, and you can do me a great big favor by simply saying hi, letting me know that you're here, so that I know that you're here. There's a good number of you out there. Please do say hi. And if you're watching this, do me a huge favor by liking and sharing on social media. Take 1 moment, only 1 moment. It'll take you about maybe 15, 30 seconds at the most to click this link and then share it with other people on your own personal page. And if you haven't yet already, please do subscribe Mongoose on YouTube or however, or on whatever social media format that you're seeing this. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the notification button. But my guest for tonight is none other than Steve Yang. He's with Kato Fast Racing. And Tracy says hi. Hi, Tracy. How are you? We've also got CM Yang. Hi, hey, thank you for joining me tonight. But let's share his page a little bit here. Let's take a quick look. So if you look, you can also go to his page, Steve Yang. I've got it here, Steve Yang on top, Kato Racing here. And you can see what he's been up to lately. I think Steve is one of the best guys with social media. He does a really good job of it. He's good with pictures. He's good with media. If you right here, 7 hours ago, Steve shared the MotoAmerica racing schedule. And so I'm gonna click on here if you want to see Steve race. The qualifying starts around 2 o'clock. I don't know how accurate this time is, but if you wanted to watch MotoAmerica racing, you want to see Steve or Aiden race, I would encourage you to subscribe to MotoAmerica Live Plus. Just go to MotoAmerica.com and click on Watch Now, and you'll see how to subscribe on a race to race basis, unless you want to subscribe for the whole season. But that season is coming to a close. I'll be there also, and 多小国民节了 you know that at race time I'll go live na, so the race not show. So I think new Saturday, new Friday, maybe new Friday. Sometimes they don't show the qualifiers, but new Friday, yeah, most of the time draw to sort of but that's you draw that you go which draw to sort of side I do it out of courtesy for the people who say sure that's you sure just or不知里就那个我多被老做了不要太了不要老太多都 sure and so here yeah he's got a lot of great stuff and yeah here Steve Yang Wednesday 6 but it's actually now closer to 7 so you can also find him on Kato Racing. If you just look up Kato Fast Racing, then here's his actual team racing site. And we can get Steve to elaborate a little bit more about the origins of Kato Fast Racing. And then for those who don't know, but you want to know a little bit more about Steve, Steve did everyone a great service. He actually put together, with the help of a friend, a little 8-minute clip of who exactly Steve is. We'll watch just a little tad bit of it. Let me know if the volume doesn't work out. But I'm going to show you just a little bit as a little teaser. If you want to watch the whole thing, feel free to jump onto Steve's site and you can actually watch it from there. But here it is. I don't know who Kyle Zhang is, but he's pretty good.
Hi, I'm Steve Yang. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. I will be the second Hmong American to be racing in MotoAmerica. I started riding when I was 22 years old. I bought a 2008 Ninja Kawasaki 250, and ever since then I've been riding track. I got my permit, but never been a fan of riding the streets. Ever since I started on the track, I loved it. From there on, as I progressed, it went from 1 year to 2 year. I got bigger bikes. I got on a 600. I was very fluent with, and I was very competitive with, and I bought a 1000. I entered in CRA back of 2019, got my race license, and from there on, I started racing. The CRA organization was like All right, so without further ado and waiting, let's bring Steve on board. Steve, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Long? I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good. So it's Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday, and then Friday will be race time. Again, for those who don't know, Steve and Aiden will both be riding at Brainerd, Minnesota for MotoAmerica Round 6. And it should be an exciting time. There's lots of Hmong people in Minnesota, and I hope a lot of them come and watch you and Aiden race. For those who don't know you and haven't watched that lovely video you just made, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 28 years old, and I'm from Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Been living here pretty much all my life, Minnesota here. But other than that, yeah, you know, I've been racing for, this would be my 3rd year racing, and then finally got the professional license through MotoAmerica when I signed up for the MotoAmerica application. Other than that, I just, yeah, pretty much, I just love to race.
Yeah. So you said you've been racing 3 years. Tell us about your journey on the bike. We spoke a little bit about it beforehand, but and in the video you kind of detailed it. But you actually start on like Aiden on a Kawasaki, in your case a 250. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started on a Ninja or a Kawasaki Ninja 250 when I was about 22 years old. Like I never really was into like motorcycles. Like I told you earlier along, I was like really into like cars before I got on a motorcycle. And then when my uncle introduced me to a motorcycle, and then I'm like, wow, you know, like this thing's crazy, you know, like it's just the adrenaline. It just feels so much better than, you know, sitting in the car and driving the car, where I'm like, you know, I love this feeling. So and it was weird because when I hopped on the Ninja 250, I was, you know, like they say, like, you know, you just know that you're a natural at it, you know. And I did my first track day, and a lot of people were like, wow, you know, like you're pretty fast, you know, for you know, a starter, you know, like you're like a natural at it. So I'm like, oh, okay. So didn't really think nothing of it much, and just continued riding until I got my my Gixxer 600. And then that's when I was kind of like, oh wow, okay, I hopped on a bigger bike, and from there on I've just been faster and started getting better at things. And then I decided to buy, like, you know what, you know, let me get a 1000, you know, because the main goal when you first start, you're like, oh, you know what, a 250 is too small, 600, you know, too small, and it's not powerful enough. You want to get on the biggest and the strongest and the baddest bike, you know. And I got on a 1000. I'm like, yeah, you know what, I think it's a great idea to hop on it and be the fastest. But then I found out that I was actually slower on a bigger bike. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, since I bought the 1000, I'm like, okay, you know what, I want to tone it down and find like how to become faster, and how to work on my skills. And that's when I bought my 2004 Suzuki SV650, and that's when I really started to fine tune, like, okay, you know, these are little small things that can make me faster, like body position, you know, small little tweaks with suspensions, and just the whole mechanical works around it pretty much. As you can see in my videos, I do a lot of everything myself, you know. Building the bikes, I kind of do a lot of the suspension, like, you know, I can remove and replace, but mainly, like, I have sponsors, and also trackside support, like vendors, like, you know, trackside labs to Cheap Thrill Motorsports, all the local guys here, you know, General Engineering, they all do a lot of, like, they provide a lot of service, you know. And like I have tire vendors here, like In Gear Moto, where they provide like Dunlop tires for me. So they give me all this information, and I just kind of take all of their information and kind of put it together on my bike, and then put it to use and kind of do all the mechanical works on it. Then I had a guy build my engine for me, so I can at least compete at a competitive level with the faster guys, or the professional guys now, since I'm in MotoAmerica.
Nice. So this will be your first time racing in MotoAmerica. How different do you think it's going to be from CRA?
I think it's going to be a whole lot different, because, you know, I'm going up against national level now, so they're going to be probably, they're from all over the place. You know, I've only been to a few places like down south. Like I've actually came out to California to ride Button Willow out there, and you know, the difference of the riders, and also just the weather conditions, play a lot of factors with a whole bunch of things. Because, for example, like when I was out there at Button Willow, I was actually on a BMW S1000, and the track pavement, like the elevation of just that track, is completely different compared to like
Hey, Chan, how are you? Chan says, "Go get him, Steve."
Well, thanks, Chan. But yeah, so like the track is just so much different than ours out here in Brainerd, and compared to like MotoAmerica, there's so much elevation. The weather's a lot hotter, and so forth. And yeah, I just think that it's just going to be a whole different level for me.
So I know that in MotoAmerica they race Dunlops. Is that pretty much what you're used to racing also?
So I just started racing on Dunlops just this year. But before then, I've been a big fan of the Pirelli tires. But it's a tire. A tire gives you a lot of information, depending on your tire pressures and also heat as well too, and the temperature outside as well too. So it's a it's an interesting thing to learn about once you know how to ride, and you understand like little small things that you adjust on the bike, like tire pressures could play a major factor in just traction, and also tire wear itself, because if you overheat tires, you're gonna have either two things, a hot tear or a cold tear, one of the two depending on temperatures outside. But yeah, I just started riding on Dunlops this year, and I think it's a pretty good tire. It's pretty understanding. It's just little small things that come up with these tires. So yeah.
So I've been like hanging around Aiden a little bit. The one thing I've learned from Aiden is that it takes quite a bit of people. Do you have like a team of pit people with you, or are you going to be? I imagine it'd be pretty hard if it was just yourself. Do you have like people that are going to be in there? So when we talk about, I guess we're talking about. Let's talk Kato. Is it Kato? Or is it Kato as in the person Kato? Is it Kato as in Kapao Kato? What's the origin of Kato?
Just Kato itself. So the origination of Kato, it just came from like a nickname. It's just a name that I was like, I kind of like this name, So I'm like, you know what? I'll just go out, and started telling people, hey, like I just like the nickname Kato. And then how I came about Kato Fast was I had a friend. So a lot of the people who helped me out, as far as for like even nowadays, for my pit crew, like we're just a bunch of friends. Really, we're just out there like a bunch of racers and also enthusiasts that that like motorcycle riding, and we've done track days together. And a lot of the guys here, they're like, hey, you know what? Like we're out on a track day, and they're like, hey, you're pretty fast, man. You're Kato Fast. And I'm like, you know what? That's an awesome name, like Kato Fast. And I'm like, if I'm gonna go into like my goal at that time, this was probably maybe like 3-4 years ago, before Kato Fast racing even became a thing. I'm like, you know what? Like I found that I'm a natural at riding, so I'm like, I want to set a really high goal, to be, somewhere where like, I want to make this out of something. I just don't want to do like a track day type deal or just want to club race. I want to go like to the highest extent of myself with riding, so I push forward towards it. I'm like, I need a name for, myself if I'm going to go into professional racing. So I'm like, well, Kato Fast Racing, I'll just make that into a name. And ever since then, it's just stuck with me. So they call me Kato for a nickname at the track. So so yeah, that's how Kato Fast Racing came about. But other than that, a lot of my friends are just my pit crew guys. Like CM. CM.
Right
He
here,
just said
CM,
pit
like
crew.
this guy here.
Yeah. So we're just a bunch of friends who are just enthusiasts about racing and riding itself. So that's how like I kind of got where I am, because when I do club racing, like sometimes I may be out there by myself, but majority of the times I either have like a friend of a racer, or I have like, my friends come out like once in a while out of the blue. Like a few of the guys would just come out randomly and just hang out. They'll hang out with me for the entire weekend or just the entire day. Just be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna help you, and I think that's a whole lot of help, because from where I started, to where I'm at now, like I don't think I'd be where I'm at without my friends. You know?
Nice
So,
friends come along. Well, it's hot, so I'm gonna take off my shirt here. There's only one way to take off the shirt. So I am a Kato supporter. That's the first time I met you. I actually met you by seeing your post about your shirt, and so I was like, "Oh
oh,
shoot, dope! It's another Hmong racer." And I think that it's important to support Hmong athletes, Hmong racers. The
yeah,
funny thing is, that there's my background is music, and the Hmong community is small, and now that I've actually stepped away a little bit away from the music, anyways, competition is a funny thing because we think it's competition until you step out and you realize, Hmong people, we shouldn't nearly be as competitive as we think we are. We should actually support each other a little bit more. And so, at this point in my life, anyways, I'm all about supporting Hmong racers. I love the sport of racing. I like what you guys are doing. Like I was telling Aiden and Aiden's dad, Lo. I think you know both of them well.
yeah,
But I was telling them I'll never get on a bike to race. I'll get on a bike, but I definitely won't race because I just don't have. I don't have what Aiden and Steve have. I have no
yeah,
desire to go fast. I'm just there with a camera to record, and that's my passion. But through that passion, I hope to support you, Steve, as much as possible, and then Aiden also, because at the end of the day, if Aiden goes far, then it's better for Hmong people. If Steve goes far, then it's better for Hmong people at the end of the day. And if we don't support Steve or Aiden, then they could go far, but they might not. They might go that bit less far. And so it's important that Hmong, such a small community, we need to support each other. If anyone's watching and you like this shirt, Steve, tell them how they can get this shirt.
oh yeah. You can go on to the website on gpleatherworks.com, and then you go under his shop, and there's a designated spot for Kiddo Fast Racing. So Kiddo Fast Racing would be under that, and you can buy sweaters. You can buy the shirt that Long is wearing right now. You can buy phone cases too, and also hats that my sponsor had gathered up for me as well too. So you guys should really check it out, because GP
So
Leatherworks, he does a lot of great work, and he's been helping me for the last year or so.
so here's
And
here's the site here. We'll just walk through. I think the pop-ups, if it pops up, it's gonna, let's see here. So we can
yep,
go to Kato Fast over here.
yep,
Let's see. Does that show? Yeah, it goes. Okay, sweet. And so here it is. And so you can get up here. You can get a shirt. You can get a hoodie. You can get a couple different variations of the hat. You
mhm,
even got a phone case, a couple of
right,
phone cases. So,
yeah,
yeah, let's support Hmong writers and the organizations that sponsor Hmong writers, especially because let's tell Hmong, hey, let's go and let's support them also. Um,
absolutely.
so your first time racing at MotoAmerica, you gotta have nerves. You gotta have some nervousness in you. What's it like?
Yeah, so I do like right now. I'm just thinking about tomorrow. Like, tomorrow is going to be us staging. So it's all new to me. So I'm kind of like talking with my pit crew. We have a little group chat, and I'm like, hey, like I don't know anything much about it, and I'm pretty sure everyone don't too, because it's going to be our first time there. So just want everybody to be in their A game whenever we all go. Just need everybody to be on time and just pretty much stay on top of everything. I have a few friends who like we're working on getting things there, and like we're gathering stuff like food and stuff, because when you go to the track, it's you got to pack up so much, get the bike ready. Well, for me, I got to get the bike ready, but it's just going to be out there for 4 days, 3 nights, and we got to make sure we have everything that we have, extra parts, extra coolers, extra generators, just a backup for everything, because you never know. Sometimes you can go up to the track, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my generator went out, all of a sudden. It's like,
Hmm.
well, we don't have enough, or we don't have an electrical outlet to hook up your tire warmers, so
Hmm.
just small, just pretty much everything like that. Tire warmers. I have 2 sets of tire warmers, and I have someone else bring in an extra set just in case if they don't work. And then we have backup
Yeah.
for everything.
We'd make or break it if one of them goes out.
Yeah.
So I was on your site, and so you're ready. So qualifying, for those who don't know, I think there's some people watching that might not know anything about racing. Tell us what the timeline is like. So tomorrow you'll be setting up. What happens on Friday? What happens on Saturday? And my understanding is you're not racing on Sunday though.
Yeah, yep. So I'm not racing Sunday because the Twins Cup, for some reason, they only have just one race for us, which is on Saturday. But the timeline is so tomorrow we go, we stage up, get everything all set up. We get the hot pit tents all set up. We set up our paddock area, just kind of get cozy, settle in for the long weekend. And then Friday is going to be qualifying number 1, and also we have practice that morning as well. So qualifying number 1 is really what kind of determines where you stand as far as for if you're going to make it in the big show or not too. So it doesn't always generally mean that like if you're in MotoAmerica, if you don't pass qualifying, you still may not be able to enter in the actual race. So you have to be able to set a certain lap time. I believe it's 110 or 108% from the fastest lap time. So, and usually that's like 10 seconds or so, maybe more, depending on whatever percentage they have it set at. So
if the fastest, if the fastest racer goes like 140, then you have to be like 150 or so.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. So it's just stuff like that, and if you don't meet that, and then pretty much if you don't pass qualifying, and then you just don't get to enter in the race. So and then Saturday it's qualifying number 2 for us in the morning, and then we don't race until, I believe, from what I read on the schedule, is 6 p.m. So it's going to be a very long day. Qualifying in the morning for Saturday if everything goes well, and then it's 6 p.m. to race at night. So that's a very long week.
So you're qualifying and racing on the same day.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
So that's qualifier 2 on that morning.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I see. So let me get it straight. So you're qualifying 1 on Friday, which makes sense, and then you also do qualifying 2 in the morning, which makes sense. That's what they typically do, and then you're racing at 6.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah. So
well, your CM's baiting you a little bit. He wants you to tell everyone what tire warmers are.
So to explain to you what tire warmers are, so tire warmers are basically, so on our tires, there's like a wrap. It's called the tire warmer, and it's got heat that generates when you plug it in. And normally, we race on just slick tires. So if you have no tread on the tire itself, you can't just simply go out on the track on cold tires and expect it to grip, like rubber. For example, it's on cold rubber, if you freeze it and you slide it across like a pavement, it's going to slide very easy, compared to like if you heat it up and it's kind of almost to like a melting point, but it's not melting, but it's very sticky. So the tire warmer is what generates heat into the tires and make that tire hot enough so when you hit the track pavement, you can rip on it, and it'll grip for you. It won't lose traction, and so forth. And yeah, it's going to help you with racing, and also heating up that tire very quick when you need to.
So we're talking temperature. What's the weather like in Minnesota right now?
The weather, so like today it was about like 80 degrees. It wasn't
really nice.
too bad or anything. Yeah, so but it was a very nice day. It's a little windy, but this week I've been kind of paying attention to the weather, just because in Minnesota here it tends to rain on and off, especially in Brainerd. It's a hit or miss sometimes. It can show you like, hey, you know what, it's bright and sunny all week, and all of a sudden, and then the next day or two it's like, oh no, we're gonna get rain or showers. So from what I checked out for this weekend. The weather looks pretty good, but it may permit, it might change.
Mm.
And you can never tell.
So I'm not from Minnesota. I know where St. Paul is. I know where Minneapolis, and you go Maplewood, and you go Rogers out there. Where is Brainerd?
So Brainerd from us here. So I'm in Brooklyn Center. So Brooklyn Center is like 20 minutes away from St. Paul, but Brainerd is about 2 hours up north from us here.
Oh, it's like halfway to Duluth or something.
Actually, it's past Duluth. It's past Duluth a little bit further up. Yeah. So.
Oh boy.
So 2 hours of a ways. It's not too bad. Like if you drive. Well, for me, I drive there like every single summer, so it's been just like a breeze for me. But some people, they're like, oh man, this ride, like my cousin or Kyle, he's my cousin, the one who made the video.
Oh, okay, cool.
He went up with me last race weekend, and we went up there, and he was just explaining to me. He was like, oh man, dude, like the drive there is so long. I'm like, yeah, it is kind of long, but then when we came back home, he's like, I feel like it wasn't even that far. And like when we came home, it was really fast. I'm like, yeah, it's not that far, 2 hours away. It's not that far from us here. So
we've got Cynthia here. Cynthia says, congrats and welcome to MotoAmerica, Steve. We'll be seeing you with my nephew Aiden Moore and wishing you two the best of luck at Brainerd this weekend. Sweet. So
well, thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate that. But yeah, definitely. If I see Aiden and you guys out there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, especially because I haven't seen them for quite a while now, maybe a whole year, because they're down in Cali, and then I'm up here in Minnesota. So I try to go down there to go do some races with them, but it's just especially being a father, it's kind of hard to travel, and also with my work, since I work at the dealership for Toyota, it's kind of difficult to just, take certain days off and drive out there for a weekend or so and then come back. Normally from what I've seen, some people go out down to Cali and they're like, yeah, it's a couple of days trip or so, and then coming back home and so on and so forth. So it's probably going to be maybe a whole week or two kind of deal for me if I'm traveling that far.
Yeah. So talking about like traveling around the country and whatnot, the Hmong motorcyclist racing community can't be very big. I know there's you guys and I think Bangsu's your uncle, right?
Oh yeah.
As a rabbit. And then I know there's Moa Van down in Fresno area. I actually I did a co-track walk with Aiden once at Button Willow, probably in January, February, and he mentioned you at that time. He said, "Yeah, there's a Steve in Minnesota." From your inside knowledge, so now there's two of you guys racing MotoAmerica. Do you see like a third or fourth rider coming along?
For me, from my knowledge, there potentially can be. I think there are a lot of people that I've met along the way, like a few people like Q-Ball, and these guys are like just guys that I've seen and know with my past, of racing and just track day riding and talking with people like Q-Ball and Moa, especially. I think Moa and a bunch of other people, they do have a lot of the potential to be in the MotoAmerica professional race league. However, I think the main thing is just that racing is very expensive. As I mentioned in my video too, it's not something where it's cheap, where you can just, go out there and, pay X amount of money and just, call it a day. It takes a lot of time to gather, all your equipment, especially, and then also going out for like a race weekend. Like you can spend easily over $1,000, especially just for tires alone. If especially the pro leagues, like this coming weekend, pretty sure it's going to be a little bit over 1,000 or probably even more, just because qualifying with buying tires and then buying the type of fuel that we have to run for MotoAmerica. Some of that, especially to like a 15 drum pail, is already $230. Tires alone, for my size tires, just the rears, they're like 240 each. And then the fronts are about like 180. So you add all that up, it does add up very quick. So, but I feel like, a lot of people have potential to get up there, but it just takes a lot of time. And I think one other thing that it takes is just a lot of determination, especially because, some people do this and they're like, oh, you know what, like, it's cool and such until like, when they fall and they're like, oh, I'm gonna back up, I'm gonna back away, and injuries do kind of take a toll on you as well too. I've had several crashes before, multiple crashes, but it's sometimes it's just on the person to really think about it and say, hey, you know what, do I really want to continue this? Because you can put yourself into a lot of harm, especially if you continue to race. And if you're like some people, they say, like, as the older you get, it takes more time, and it hits you a lot harder if you do crash or have an injury. So I understand that, because I'm 28 now. I'm not getting any younger, but I can kind of see that. But then it's just, it's just really depending on the person. If they're mentally like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing this. Like, even my club racing, there's a guy, Jeff Franz, who is 70 years old, and he's still racing with us. And I'm like, man, dude, like 70 years old. I don't know if I can see myself that old, but then I'm like, racing is just something that it's just a passion, and I look at all of the people that I race with, and I'm like, wow, these guys are like twice my age, but I feel like, I don't think this would ever die in me. I think I would pass it on to anyone who has the determination to set a goal as high as, Moto America. I would definitely look down and say, hey, you know what, like, I'll give you a helping hand, with all the knowledge that I know and all of the past experiences that I've been through. I can kind of guide them into a proper way of getting into something major like this.
With Aiden's been racing for a couple years. You've been racing for a couple years too. Brainerd's your home course. That's fair to say, kind of like Button Willows for Aiden. You'll be racing your home course. You'll be very comfortable, I'm assuming. Have you noticed that now that you guys have kind of emerged as the more prominent Hmong racers, have you noticed that a lot more young Hmong people want to race now?
Yes. So I've actually every time I go to the track, and like I post up a lot on my social medias. I have my Instagram, my Facebook, my Facebook page. So when I talk with people, or when they see me out there, I'm like, yeah, I encourage them to, and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get into it. I'm like, just don't think about it, just do it. When you do it, like, it's a life-changing thing. Like, I don't think that I would ever regret the choices that I made when I decide to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna finally race. And then when I started racing, I'm like, wow, I wish I would have done this a lot sooner, because at the age of 22, and when I started, I was kind of like, oh, all right, I'm just gonna do track days. Track days is just, you go out there, just take a bike and go ride and push out there. And it's not like, a lot of people think, like, when people think about track days, they think that it's very intimidating, that there's a lot of skillful riders, but it's like, no, on a track day, it's like new guys just like you. If you're trying to put your foot in the door, just to feel how, like, road courses, I encourage that a lot to all of the people all over that I've talked to. Just like, you got to try it. Like, you go out here on the street and you want to race or ride fast out on the street, but it's like, you could put yourself into a lot of danger. There's oncoming cars, there's animals, there's a lot of debris on the road where you can get into an accident and potentially die, and I've seen a lot of people who've passed away in the past from, accidents. And, I steer myself away. Like, I'm just like, I don't like to go out there on the street and do this kind of thing. I would rather do it on a road course. And I encourage it a lot to a lot of the people. And one thing I don't think I mentioned to you is that, so as far as I am with my racing career, like, I don't even have a motorcycle license to ride on the street, just because I'm just like, I'm for sure just gonna not ride the street at all and just keep it on the track, just because
that seems to be the trend that I see. A lot of motorcycle racers don't like to race on. Don't like to ride altogether on the street, because I know Aiden doesn't ride on the street either. Interesting. That's interesting. CM saying, I got my CRA race license same day as Steve Yang, but as I told him before, some people belong on the track and some become pit crew for the racers. Yeah, so it's not for everyone.
Yeah, and that is very true. What you said, like, I've always told people, I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I encourage racing or track day riding with everyone, but then riding is not for everybody. I've seen some people, they want to get into it, but it's just really something inside the person. If it's not meant for you, don't push for it, because you can do a lot more damage to yourself than what you would think.
Not Tong. Yeah, says Steve is a great guy. If you want to learn how to be a competitive racer, just ask him that question. He's willing to teach you if you're willing to listen. So, would you? I guess, yeah. If anyone wants to learn how to race, then wants an inside opinion, then feel free to contact. Well, not Tong. That might be someone related to you, I'm suppose.
Yeah, he's a local track day rider in Minnesota here. So and this year alone, it's like crazy how many people started riding again just this year, because the last few years there hasn't been that many like Hmong people who like come out and do track days or anything. And then this group came out, they call themselves No Action Riding Crew, and there's a lot of diversity in the group, but majority of it is Hmong people. So they kind of came out, and I'm like, oh wow, like, these guys are out here and they're encouraging to do more track days, and they do a lot of street riding, and they're encouraging, like, safety as well too. Like, they're hosting out things at parking lots to help out riders to kind of work on body positions, so on and so forth. So all these groups are coming back, which is exciting, because I don't know if it's Aiden and I who are encouraging them, but it's something that I can see within them, that there's a lot of people coming out again, and that's pretty exciting, because if there are people who like to ride or race, I'm right here in Minnesota, so I'm willing to help out if anyone needs it.
Chris is a longtime watcher from Seattle. He says, more power to Aiden and you, living the dream. So, talking about the dream, so this will be your first time racing in MotoAmerica. How far do you plan to take this?
So I plan to do this for at least several more years, just because, like, I'm just getting my foot in the door. So it's kind of a different ballgame for me right now. So reaching to this extent, I want to actually do this for several more years, and I plan on probably doing more classes. So this year I'm doing the Twins Cup, and I want to get back on like a different bike, maybe one or two different bikes, 600 or 1000, and I want to go for super sport and I want to go for the stock 1000 class. I want to continue that because it, the bigger bikes have always been something that I've always loved too, you know, and the 650s and the smaller bikes, they're more of like, you know, like you're testing your skills and you can only go so fast with those bikes, you know, but yeah, I plan on going further with it. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. If I do stop, and then it's probably one of my sons who are gonna come up after me, or my daughter if she wants to come up too, because they're very into like motorcycles and stuff, and they know very well that I do a lot of racing. So my daughter and my three sons, they all love it. So
Well,
if
you
they,
just saw I saw that you shared it, and you just saw Kayla Yakov take first.
oh yeah,
Um, so a little 14-year-old girl,
right,
extremely fast
oh yeah,
in the youth in the 400 Cup. So really interesting time because I don't think a bike knows the difference whether you're a boy or a girl.
right,
Um,
yeah,
so
it is. Yeah.
so
It's just about
interesting.
the rider.
So one of the questions I asked Lo on here, um, what he thought basically what would be the hardest thing about being a racer, and he basically said it's because like kind of what you've echoed that it's freaking expensive
Yeah.
to ride a bike. A stock bike isn't too bad,
Mhm.
especially if you get it used. I saw your post, um,
Mhm.
but then you got to trick it out.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like so your 650. If someone was to go to Suzuki and buy it off the floor, how much would that go for?
So the SV650s, if you're talking like the new platforms, those are roughly about like I I think probably close to like 6 or 7 thousand, maybe more. I don't know the actual retail price on the
Mhm.
newer SV650s, but that's just completely stocked, you know. Talking about like, you know, just building the bikes alone itself, like Lo probably knows pretty well as long as myself, because I'm the one who build my bike, you know, put
Mhm.
all the mechanical works to it, except for the engine, but everything else like I've done. But yeah, I bought my bike for when I bought my bike, it was like it's a 2004, so it's pretty old. But then it's a very competitive bike in its class back in the day, and then bought it for $2,000. But if you're talking about how much I've spent into it, you know, I think my wife might kill me for saying this, but
Mhm.
you know, I probably spent over close to about like 20,000 into it, maybe more. It's
Mhm.
just so much into it that, you know, to make a bike be competitive at the national leagues, it takes a lot of money and a lot of
Yeah.
time. Some of the stuff are just fabricated stuff that I've done myself and that I've had people just make. You know, some of these parts are non-existent to to
Mm.
the bike itself. You just make it and it just works.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. You'll be qualifying for those who don't know racing. MotoAmerica is the best way to watch them. I think you put up a post. Some of it's televised on normal non-subscription TV, but the best way to watch it is actually MotoAmerica. If you go to their subscription page and you watch it
Hmm.
there, it's pretty cheap. It's $13 because that's what I
Yeah.
do. I subscribe by the race, and it grants you the privilege to watch any race. Actually,
Yeah.
you could watch anything from the 400s to the twins, all the way to the super bikes, all the way to some the baggers. These bikes that I'm not so familiar with. I don't, Steve, I don't have to know anything about bikes other than what Aiden and Lo has taught me since February. I don't know anything. Everything I've learned from them. But Moto America is probably the best way to watch it. If you go to
Yeah.
Moto America site, there's a little link you click on, and it shows you exactly when they're going to show stuff. They'll show you what's racing when, but then they'll also show you what's going to actually be broadcasted. So,
Yeah.
Steve, what I'll probably do is I'll broadcast it. I'll broadcast stuff on Facebook Live and on this media on this medium here. When Aiden's racing, when you're racing, we'll watch your qualifiers if we can watch them. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to watch at least one of them. And then, so the ideal situation is you do qualifiers, you qualify in, and then we watch you do race one. And from what you said, amongst the twins, there's actually only one race this weekend for
Correct.
twins.
Yep, and that's happening on Saturday, 6 p.m.
6 p.m. And it'd be your wildest dream to take first, and that would be winner take all. We see Steve
Yeah,
Yang
that
on
would
the
be
podium.
crazy.
Yeah, you never know, because the one thing I learned about racing is that everyone pushes so hard such that they fall. And if you
Oh, yeah.
fall, then everyone else behind you just moves on up.
Right. Yep. So yeah, so it's crazy because like some of the races that was recently that we watched or that happened at Road Atlanta, like Aiden's race, there were like I think 8 riders ahead of him, and then like 5 of them fell, and so much penalty and so on and so forth, and Aiden was able to get a podium, and that was pretty crazy how the factors of just simple small things like that, like a simple crash can jeopardize the entire race. And it's like, oh hey, you know what, like this person just got first or second just because so many riders fell or a mechanical problem happened and so on and so forth. And so yeah, so I look forward to it this coming weekend. It's pretty nerve-wracking, but I'm trying not to overthink it. I think I have a pretty good pit crew behind me right now, and we've been kind of communicating quite a bit, and we got a structure kind of set, a plan set for ourselves, and I hope that everything goes well, and keep 2 wheels on the ground, and nothing happens during practice or qualifying. So keeping the belt, like just the last several weeks or the last weekend here, this past weekend, I've been working on the bike. I've been refreshing everything, coolant, engine, spark plugs. I've been doing all that, just double checking every single nut and bolt on this bike, just make sure that nothing's going to fall apart when I go out there, so on and so forth, and just reading a lot of the rules, regulations, because like I said, it's my first time, so there's a lot of
Are the
things
rules
that.
pretty different from CRA?
Oh yeah, like by far it's similar in ways but different in ways too, because they have certain things like they're from what I've heard from my local CRA racers who are in MotoAmerica, they're like, they're very strict on things. Coolant, you can't have like regular coolant in your motorcycle. You have to have just distilled water. So any sort of form of coolant that's like slimy or slick or even water wetter, you can't have none of that. It has to be drained out completely, has to be spotless clean. If you have just a little bit, one of my local CRA racers, he was telling me, he was like, yeah, like they're the first time they went, they were like checking all the coolant, put on in a little tube, and they're at like a little at a table and doing like some little sort of like lab test or something with it. Like, man, it's crazy. So,
because I know that, I don't know if CRA does this, but Lowe's telling me that after every MotoAmerica race, they take your bike for inspection pretty much.
Yeah, so and that's the difference with MotoAmerica. They do that as well too. After every race, they inspect the bike, make sure that no one's cheating. Like it's a fair game. Like everyone has to play fair. You can't have anything that's cheating the system. But club racing, no, it's anything goes really. The bike classes are different too. Like for example, in club racing, for our Super Twins class or our lightweight class, we can run like certain bikes like the Kramers. We can run that in club racing, but in MotoAmerica, you cannot run that bike because it doesn't pass or it doesn't meet the requirement.
Huh, interesting. Yeah. Cool.
So,
Well, I'm excited. Steve, we'll be watching you guys. We'll be watching you. Best of luck to you, to Kato Racing, to your pit crew. I wish you guys the best, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Aiden, and it'll be your first time, and I hope you hit other MotoAmerica courses, and we see you more out there. Um,
Absolutely.
if it's hard being a father. Like, you've got 4 kids. Your oldest is, you said, 12. My oldest is 13, but I've got 6. And so when you talk about having difficulties, I'm like, I'm there, right there with you. But just know that people like Mongoose are behind you. We'll be doing some live streaming of you guys, and I'm really excited. Some people here saying hi. We've got people wanting to wish you, because I think this is Michelle. Michelle says hi, and we've got Kaiju saying good luck to you, Steve.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me on a Mongoose. And I want to thank a lot of the people out there for a lot of the encouragement and also the good lucks out there for me, because I really do need it, and it's kind of inspiring to see a lot of people support me in this, and I definitely will do my best out there.
Anything you want to say to, I don't know, fans, sponsors, or anything?
Um, for my fans and sponsors, well, I want to thank all my sponsors, especially all of my all the ones that have been really putting in effort, like 1X USA to Drip and Wet, GP Leathers, um, Slick Products, and Blood Racing, and also Vortex. And I want to thank all of my suspension support guys, Cheap Thrill Motorsports, In Gear Moto, and um, Adrenaline Engineering, for helping me get this far, especially. And also with everyone who's been contributing and donating for me to get this far as well too, like friends, families. There's so many people down the list that I can name each and every one, but it's just, there are some people that I may forget, but from all over the world, really. I got people from Cali helping me, helping contributions and donations, and also people in Minnesota. And I can't thank everyone enough. Like, I really appreciate it, and I hope that one day, if you or anyone else who wants to come up and just see a track day, or come out and race, or want to come up and be a professional racer. Like, for me, I don't like to hide anything. I'm very straightforward, and I'm willing to give you every information that I know of. Give you anything that I've experienced and know in the past, and I will pass that knowledge on to anyone to become a faster rider. Um, like what you said, I want to help everyone. I want to help everyone and help everyone go higher, pretty much.
All right, Steve. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for朋友cái đi cho nên chỉ hai cho nhau họ đấy chỉ mình khả năng cho nhau tầm lo là vào Thái là vào lulu Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Of course, watch MotoAmerica, support Steve. Aiden will also be there. Aiden and Steve are doing great things for the sport, for the Hmong community. I hope to see Aiden ride a lot more. Hope to see Steve ride a whole lot more. And whether you guys know it or not, you guys are basically trailblazing for the people behind you. And the further we help you guys go, the further the future can go. And so we'll be praying for your safety, Steve. And may God be the wind behind your back to give you that little push to pass the bike ahead of you. Steve, have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Thanks.
请记住啊。